Hello, YouTube. Craig Beggins here.
And Jeff Beggins.
We're going to give you a little insight to what drives some brokers crazy today and have some interesting little ethical debates. So tune in, give us a thumbs up, give us some comments, like us, share, whatever you want to do.
Hit that subscribe button, guys. We're pushing content out every day, and it's 100% for you. So hit it and enjoy the show.
So, all right, I got a situation. I just don't know what to do.
Okay.
I take it. I believe we did nothing wrong.
Ooh, these are always fun stories.
I believe we did nothing wrong. I believe some other people did some things that are wrong, but I know for a fact that our customer is damaged.
All right,
so
lay it out.
Let me give you the situation. This is a past client of ours. They sold their business. They got a bunch of cash.
Is a buyer our buyer?
This is our buyer.
Okay.
We've sold them one house to be a rental already.
Okay.
They've identified another house. It's very difficult. They're looking for specific communities in Sarasota that are maintenance free.
Okay.
They don't want CDDs. They got a whole bunch of rules. We found the perfect house. We called the listing agent. We said, hey, we've got a 1031 buyer.
Those are good.
Those are great. Is your house able to be rented? And they said, absolutely, good, because it's very important. We have to rent this house.
Okay.
So we look at the house. We go to the MLS. The HOA docs are posted on the MLS.
By the listing agent.
By the listing agent,
okay,
who got them from the seller.
Okay.
And it says there's no rental restrictions.
Okay.
In addition to that, the listing agent put up a separate document that clarified again that there's no rental restrictions.
What was that document?
It was on their personal letterhead. There's a team.
As an attachment in the MLS?
As an attachment to the MLS.
Okay.
A standard form, fill in the blank. Number of months to occupy before renting, 0.
Okay.
Okay. Very clear. Okay. So we buy the house.
Which is important because 1031, you have to be a like-kind investment property.
Exactly.
Okay.
You can't just buy a house. And so they hire some renovations to be done. They hire a property management company. They put a for sale sign in the yard. And
for rent.
Okay. I'm sorry, for rent sign in the yard. And the HOA sends a cease and desist letter. You're not allowed to rent this house.
Okay.
So the buyer's freaking out. They're in Ohio. We're here. We call the HOA, beg and plead. What's wrong? The HOA sends us a supplement to the Homeowners Association documents.
Oh, God. Okay.
So the docs we had were issued in 2002. This is a 2014 amendment saying you have to occupy the home for a year before you can rent it.
Ooh.
And that was modified because the HOA does not want investors buying
properties to rent it, which is what our client did.
Which is why they did it.
Okay.
So now we've got the buyer had a tenant in place to move in July. This is August now. So they had a July occupancy. They closed in May.
Oh, gosh.
And the house was rented for $2,100 a month.
Okay.
So now they've got to go for, closed in May, they've got to go for 10 months not collecting rent.
Ooh.
At $2,100 a month. So that's $21,000.
Okay.
They are out.
I would hate to be that listing broker right now.
It's not our fault, right?
Right.
So I talked to the listing broker. It's a big brokerage, bigger than we are. And they went to their agent committee.
Right.
And the agent committee said, we don't see any responsibility for us in this. All we did was post the documents the seller gave us. And that agent should have known better because the MLS is deemed reliable but not guaranteed.
Oh, good.
So they flipped it all back on us that we should have checked it.
Okay.
But that doesn't sit right with me.
No, not at all. Now, let's devil's advocate that. You could say, from an agent perspective, you should know. But how do you know when you're given documents?
Well, to everybody
that
else
say,
watching, when you get HOA docs, do you check the clerk of the circuit court and make sure there's been no updates to them?
Well, I think now people may
start doing that now.
Right. I mean, here's the thing: you deem that reliable when a professional posts things as an attachment in the MLS to say, here you go, here's all the documents you need to know, right? Plus, here's another letter on our letterhead that says, here's what you need to know. I don't think there's a judge in the planet that would say that was not misleading and wrong, right? So what I think we do is, well, from an agency perspective, we have full 100% loyalty to our customer. And so I think it's bring it on. It's full on attack for the broker, and their agent committee can have whatever opinion they want, but we'll let the judge decide that one, because I would just 100% engage counsel on that one and just say, sort it out. Because what are you going to argue? You're going to say, well, you should have done your research. Well, then why did you give me two separate pieces of paper that gave me that ability. You knew while we were buying it. You had 1031 addendums. You knew it was an investment property, all these things, and you gave us 2 documents that say that. Now, I could see their arguments can say, yeah, but you still shoulda, because the contract says you should not sign this contract unless you've read and received all the disclosure summaries. But they posted the disclosure summary in 2 different places. It said that you can rent this thing out.
We relied on what you posted.
Right.
Right? You didn't take diligence.
This is going to be an interesting. This is a good case law type.
Yes.
This case law setting situation.
So here's where it gets ugly.
Okay.
So I was hypothesizing with the customer, the owner of the house now, our customer, and said, look, let's just face it. We all could have done better. If we just get together and say 25% of the problem is yours, 25% of the problems is our brokerage, 25% is the seller, 25% is the buyer, we can take this $20,000 problem
Everyone's $5,000
and turn
problem.
it into a $5,000 problem. And that seemed to me to be a good idea. And that's where I went to the listing broker and said, we're not taking any responsibility.
Right.
If you think the seller did something wrong, go after the seller. So now is where it gets ugly. So the buyer wants to move on, not get involved with lawyers and lawsuits and time of all that. So they come to me yesterday and say, why don't we split it? You give us, we're operating from a $25,000 deficit, but you give us $12,000, we'll pay $12,000, we'll move on. And now I've got a debate because we have errors and omissions insurance
Right.
with a $5,000 deductible.
Right.
And I don't think we're responsible. I think the seller and the listing broker are going to have
I think 100%, whether or not there's no question that they don't have some exposure in this deal. If not all, a majority of it, if not half of it at least, right? So
Yep.
I think they made a poor choice by taking that stance, because they're going to spend more than it would have cost to settle on their own attorney's fees and their deductibles to go after it that way. Which is, and here's the ugly part of it. That's the way it really goes down to, right? You know, you get a deductible. What's your deductible? And that's how lawyers live their lives, right? See how they can settle. I think this is more than a settlement case. I think this is an ethical.
This is a negligence.
A negligence issue. It's intentionally negligible, arguably.
It is.
Because if you
could say that you could make an argument that they conspired to entice this buyer to buy the house by telling them that it was
Twice.
legal to rent twice.
2 different places with letterhead and all that stuff. Problem. Huge problem.
But what do we? I'm the broker. We've
Yeah.
got a great agent involved in the transaction. The customer loves our agent. The customer intends to buy more houses. They know we didn't make any mistake, but nevertheless, they are damaged by $25,000.
Yep. And I think the only thing we can do is
I told her
arms
she
and-
needs to sue me, and then have her attorney sue, counterclaim the other parties.
I think what we do is we get our counsel to call that other broker's counsel
That's
and
what's
say,
happening
here's
right
how
now.
it's going down. And we'll go whichever way you want, but this is just not right. I mean,
not right.
you've got to fix this practice for the future, which one of the reasons why we're doing this series is to make you guys pay attention when things happen, so you don't find yourself in this discussion, right? So that's why we're shedding light on stuff like this, because it's not all sunshine, lollipops,
These are
and rainbows.
innocent mistakes, but
Yep.
they cause problems
Yep.
that you need to be aware of.
Right? And we're not saying they did it, conspired intentionally. It's possible.
It's possible.
And a lawyer could make that argument. So we'll keep you updated on these. We'll have to do a quarterly recap of all these issues.
There you go.
I got another one. You want to hear another one?
Sure.
All right. So
We could do this all day.
I know this is when our phones ring. This is the type of crap we get. So, all right. So $700,000 house here on the islands in Indian Rocks Beach.
Okay.
Our agent represents the buyer. Found a great piece of property. It is in short sale, right?
Okay.
And so they want it. So it goes on the MLS. The listing agent gets it. We submit the offer. Listing agent says, you got it. Signed, sealed, delivered. Signed contract. Money's in escrow. And then the
Short sale addendum.
short sale addendum. Okay. And she says, okay, we've given the offer to the seller's attorney. Foreclosure is in process. They're going to go try to stop the foreclosure and see what we can do. And buyers say, cool. And they said, everything looks good. The offer is good. It's high. It's higher than what's needed. So everyone's happy with that. And so we are sitting waiting, and we don't know anything except for this morning. I get a call from our agent who got a call from the listing agent that says, bad news. It sold at auction yesterday.
That's happened before. Quite a few times, actually.
So what's the problem there?
Yeah, I got to tell you. You mentioned this to me before, and I didn't realize it was a short sale.
Short sale. Here's the problem. The buyer's pissed
Yeah.
because the buyer wants his house and thought they had the house, and we were led to believe that they had the house.
Now
Now
we didn't even know it was in foreclosure.
no, we did. It was marked as a short sale. It was not marketed as this is being foreclosed on tomorrow.
Right.
Right. So it was an emergency hearing. Grab the attorney to run in quickly and say, please stop the foreclosure. I've got an amazing offer. Stop, which we do all the time.
Right.
It's just this judge said, nope, and did it. So I think this issue is more of a communication issue of not explaining the risk of buying short sales.
Yep.
I think the listing agent has a little bit of a problem by not totally saying the whole truth of what the scenario was.
Yeah, if we had told the buyer up front, look, we're going to use your offer as a stalemate to postpone the foreclosure.
Right.
Then he would know he has a shot at not getting it.
Right.
Or he's at least a risk of a foreclosure.
That should have been the whole story, saying, look, you're on a roulette wheel, it's spinning, we're trying to let you get it, and you've got a great offer, and on paper they should stop it and take yours because it's better than a foreclosure judgment.
The real problem here is the buyer is going to lose confidence in our agent because they're going to think we did something wrong.
And our agent has lost confidence in the listing agent, thinking they did something shady.
Yep.
Right? And now the buyer's pissed. Nobody won in this situation.
Nope.
The seller didn't win. He lost the house in foreclosure when he could have had a short sale to save his credit.
Yep.
The listing agent didn't get crap. Our agent didn't get crap. The buyer didn't get the house. And nobody won.
Right.
So it was just, but the problem here was a failure to communicate, which is probably 90% of the issues.
I would say 90% for
right?
sure.
And so that was the issue. So when you have something come up, if you're not totally familiar with how that works,
slow down.
Grab your manager, grab your broker, and walk it through. Right?
And when you walk it through, don't hide the details.
Right.
I hate when they do that.
Right.
So this is my perception. Okay, well, there's another perception there.
I've
been talking in the class about alternate realities.
Oh, God. All right.
Because your reality is just that. It's your reality.
Your perception, which is made up.
But which is totally made up because of the experiences you've had in your life. Other people have different realities, which are also made up.
Yep.
So when you make up your reality and you repeat your reality, you have to be cognizant that there's another reality to this also.
Here's another one. This morning, agent pokes his head around that door and says, hey, I got a question. Check the email I just sent you. I'm wondering if it's bank fraud. And I'm like, my favorite words in the morning, right?
Yeah.
So we look at this email, and it's our seller. We got like a $2 million listing around the corner, and the buyer is represented by another brokerage. And this email basically says, hey, there's a little bit of a seawall issue we'd like to get fixed. So the buyers...
Don't tell the lender about it.
Buyer's got an attorney in another state. We'd like for you to put like $30-something thousand in, but they really don't want to put it on the contract because the lender doesn't really want to see it. The lender asked us not to put it on the contract so they didn't have to put it back through underwriting and all that stuff. So anytime you see...
Would you conspire with me to commit fraud?
Correct. That was the whole thing. So whenever you have a question that you say, is this bank fraud? The answer is probably yes, okay? Or you wouldn't have that question. So the answer is what the agent did great is saying, hey, what should I do? So the answer is do not do anything with that approach at all, because when anybody says don't tell the other person, it's 100% the wrong thing to do. I don't care what it is that you're doing. So what was the solution on this one?
I was thinking about that because that same agent showed me that letter when I walked into this building. And the solution is probably to fix it before closing.
That same thing we came up with. And said, look, fix it. Rather than disclose.
If you're going to put $30,000 in a lawyer's trust account anyway, just give $30,000 to the seawall guy and fix it. Now, the problem is the seawall guys are all busy.
Right.
And you're probably not going to get that job done for 2 or 3 months.
Right. Except for you got a really good relationship with the seawall guy, you could probably bump it, which we do, which we're working on right now. He's doing 3 other projects for us right now. So, but that's the name of the game is what's the easiest way to get this done that does not conspire to commit bank fraud to anybody? So that was just...
That doesn't look good on your resume.
No. So those were my 2 this morning. You got that one. So
I think mine's bigger, so I'm going to stick with 1.
Yeah, that's good.
We'll give these guys a shorter window today. If you like this, let us know, though. Comment and tell us. We got lots of issues we can just keep.
And you know what's for fun? If you want to, send yours in. Comment over. Shoot us a little email. We'll kind of showcase your screw up, and we won't call your name out.
Call your name out.
So anyway, that's what drives us crazy. That's what that's the day in the life of the glamorous real estate broker, right?
Probably go get a drink by now.
Oh God, look at that! It's a bottle of rum on my desk. You know, wonder why? There you go. Thanks for watching, guys.
Talk to you.